A big legal victory for the Trump administration in a 5-3 decision. The Supreme Court ruling yesterday, immigrants facing deportation can be held indefinitely without receiving bail hearings, even if they have permanent legal status or are seeking asylum. Another Supreme Court victory for the president. President Trump pressing squabbling lawmakers to make real progress on protecting Americans from mass shootings. He invited a bipartisan group of 10 senators and 7 congressmen to the White House to meet with him. The president took time to listen to as many ideas and proposals, but said any plan should give people the ability to defend themselves.
We want to pass something great. And to me, something great has to be where you stop it from happening. I want a very strong counterpunch, because if you have a strong counterpunch, they're not going in and you're not going to have this problem anymore.
And joining us tonight, Congressman Ron DeSantis, a member of a number of important committees, including Foreign Affairs, Judiciary Oversight. Congressman, great to see you here. Let me start first on the issue of gun control. I haven't heard a lot of discussion about mental health. I haven't heard a lot of discussion about school administrators, counselors, teachers, and their responsibilities to students who are emotionally and mentally disturbed or ill. And the role of law enforcement and their response to these threats when they do occur. It seems a little, the whole thing to this point seems a little ideologically bent and very superficial.
Well, I think, Lou, I think you make a great point. I mean, if you look at this terrible incident, having this individual where the police are going to his house dozens of times, where people in the school not only know he's got serious problems, obviously he gets kicked out of the school, but people are actually predicting he would do something like this. It was a total breakdown in the local community, and that sheriff down there, who I think should resign, and then obviously some of the administrators. But this was a big drop ball. And of course, there was a federal role here, because you actually had a very concrete tip phoned into the Federal Bureau of Investigation, not just that he was a problem, not just that he was dangerous, but that he was actually going to shoot up his school. And the FBI tip line, they did not even forward that to the Miami field office. And so, to me, the biggest failure is that incompetence by both the FBI and by the local officials.
Yeah, it's clear that there is a massive, you're talking about a breakdown. As you point out, the FBI is in the midst of a crisis. Its leadership it gives every appearance of being corrupt throughout its senior management. It gives every impression of being incompetent. Report after report by the FBI is sought by the Obama administration. Those reports, only a handful of those reports ever saw the light of day, and they were inconclusive and used as a shield to keep truth from the American public.
And what about accountability? So the FBI put out, I thought, that disastrous statement the Friday after the shooting, saying it was cloaked in the typical language of a bureaucracy about protocol was not followed, passive voice, pass the buck. You know, why haven't heads rolled? Why haven't people lost their jobs? That's part of the problem. When you have bureaucracies where there's never any accountability, well, that makes things like these breakdowns more likely to happen. If people's jobs were on the line because of their performance, then these things would be less likely to fall through the cracks.
And Christopher Wray, the director of the FBI, making it very clear, saying clearly he believes that there's no problem at the FBI, that everything is just terrific, as if he has not paid attention to what is happening in the firing of many of the folks in senior leadership already. That process is well underway. And as if the leader of the Department of Justice, which the FBI is part, the Attorney General, is at odds with the President of the United States, and acting as if the President is not a person who has a right to express his view about what should be done in the face of threats to the integrity of the federal government, the national security apparatus. I mean, it's mind-boggling what we're witnessing.
And think about what's happened over the last 6 or 7 months. I mean, obviously, the bombshell that the Clintons and the DNC paid for this dossier, the fact that the dossier was so central, the fact that there were misrepresentations, all the officials that have been demoted or moved out of the government, and an inspector general, given what we know, that is not adequate. They don't have prosecutorial authority. They're going to take forever and a day. And these individuals, it'll be a report where there's recommendations. There's a time and a place for IG investigations. What we need right now, given what we know, is we need a special counsel assigned, and the Attorney General should pull the trigger on that, and that we can really have someone focused on the malfeasance that occurred.
Given what we know about the Attorney General Sessions, he seems loath to do anything in a proactive, certainly a spirited manner in leading the Justice Department. Do you think there is any chance in the world that he will actually do something affirmatively?
You know, Lou, I would say when I'm back in Florida, I would say that's probably the #1 frustration that a lot of voters have, particularly a lot of supporters of the president, is that they don't think there's been enough zeal in the Justice Department, and particularly with trying to deal with all the problems that had happened in the previous administration. And so it has been a constant source of frustration. We have a number of members, a huge critical mass now, who are laying out the need for a special counsel. Think about all the things that need to be investigated. You have false statements by Christopher Steele, false statements potentially by Comey leaking the memos that had classified information. You have Peter Strzok and how he was handling the 302s, the FBI documents, how they were interacting with Congress. There is way more reason to do a special counsel in this case than there was. Yeah, exactly. And for the Trump-Russia collusion, remember when that special counsel was assigned Bob Mueller, they didn't identify the actual crime that was alleged to have occurred in all the investigation and indictments. Nothing has had anything to do with collusion, which is supposed to be the reason for the case.
Congressman, we're glad that you are on the case. We appreciate it. Thanks for being with us tonight.